Very cool. So that's Brittany. We are excited for her. I'm going to share my screen here and we can talk for just a minute about the rest of the Crown Council's speakers and presenters at the annual event. I've got a few more videos coming from these speakers, but this is something that takes a lot of our time, a lot of our energy is Rachel works tirelessly to find the speakers who are going to be part of the annual event coming up. So Travis Mills will be our keynote speaker, the very first speaker of the meeting. Travis is one of very few veterans while on a tour of duty to Iraq, to Afghanistan. He lost both arms and both legs. We met with him a couple weeks ago to talk about what he's going to be sharing, and his enthusiasm is crazy. So we're excited to have Travis. You just heard from Brittany. Steve will obviously be with us, and he'll be denticizing. That's the word we use every speaker. So as soon as Brittany sits down, Steve will come up and share how can we take Brittany's knowledge and go and apply it to your practice. Dan Heath will be joining us. Dan is a repeat speaker to the annual event. We're so excited to have him back as he's got a new book, all new ideas, and something different that he's going to share with us. And then Justin Wren, he'll be our final speaker. This guy, his story is what's so incredible. I won't spoil it for you, but just the inspiration from who he is, from what he used to be, is an incredible story that will inspire your team and give you hope for going home, setting new goals, doing new things, and just tackling 2025. So we're super excited to have Justin with us at the annual event. There's more of those to come, but we have our first guest in the waiting room. So let's bring Joey in, and we'll worry about kind of the rest of our updates and housekeeping at the end, maybe when we have more time. So we're gonna bring Joey in, and then after Joey, we're gonna have Dr. Jared Tyre is gonna join us at 11:30. If everything goes according to plan, our two guests today, and they're gonna be talking about their trips to Mexico with our last humanitarian group. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick while Joey is coming in. Hey, Joe.
Hey there. Hi, Stu.
Hey, what's going on? I'm sharing my screen real quick. So we created a lot of buzz, a lot of questions, a lot of social media that goes out about our humanitarian trips. Um, some even believe the Crown Council, that is like what we do, is like, oh, you're a humanitarian trip program.
That's all
Um,
we do.
yeah, so let me explain real quick what how the humanitarian trips work. Um, the best Crown Council offices that we work with have a strategy for doing good. And that doing good, obviously, you do good as a dentist and as a dental team, but beyond the practice, there's a lot of opportunity to do good. Doing the Smiles for Life whitening program and donating to a charity, participating in our humanitarian trips is just another way that Crown Council members can do good. And if you go to crowncouncil.com, look at your directory. In the directory, you will see Smiles for Life Foundation, and there are multiple ways to participate in the Smiles for Life Foundation. And one of them here on the left is humanitarian trips. And I'll just go to sign up details here. But here is where we kind of learn about um, what it's like to go on a trip, how do you get there, your checklist, the schedules, what you pack, what you do. So if you're sitting there saying to yourself, "Man, I want to do this. Do I want to do this?" We've put a lot of content here for you to learn what it's like, how you travel, what it looks like, and especially, if it's a good fit for you and your team. I would encourage everyone to go, especially if you're sitting there and you're kind of scared. It is worth going. So we're talking about today. It looks like you're still on here, right? Joey, is this the one right here?
That's the one that that just happened.
Okay.
That's that's the one that we were just on, and then we have the dates for March trip as well on there. So
Okay. And what's crazy is we'd never been to this place before. And that's what Joey and Jared are going to talk about is why we picked a new spot, why we went somewhere new, what it was like. Especially Joe, you went on our inaugural trip here. So uh not kinks, but good challenges with the first time we went on a trip. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Joey, to talk about what it was like, maybe the story behind why we went there. And I do have Facebook open with pictures from your trip. So if you want to,
Awesome.
yeah, we can navigate to those and we can work through those as soon as you're ready.
Uh,
Yeah. Is
oh,
that
so
good? Is that
good.
a good place?
No, awesome. That's,
Okay,
oh, perfect. So
perfect.
just a little background on this trip. First of all, it was, these people in this area we went to were just amazing. And the group that we had, um, I just call them, they're like the dream team of Crown Council dentists that went to serve. We had Jared Tyre that led us. We had Dr. Kevin Miller, Dr. Marcus Stones, Dr. Jamie Sled, and Dr. Christian Nielsen that were all part of this trip and participated and were amazing. And kind of the way this all came together is Dr. Jared Tyre. We were looking for um, additional places to serve, and a place that we could go that had a presence there that we could be part of, and we could go into this area and be able to help and make a difference, and they could help us get enough patients to our clinics and get us where we needed to go. And Jared discovered this place in southern Mexico. It's the Chiapas region in southern Mexico. We were in, oh man, that guy right there, that is Erich and his beautiful wife. He did everything on the ground for us in southern Mexico, from putting the venues together to arranging to have over 400 patients that we saw during the week. Um,
Can I have that guacamole
his
he's eating? That's what I really want.
oh oh my goodness, that the food, Stu. Oh, the food. I ate more mole on that trip than I've eaten in my whole life. And it was, and look, oh, that,
Oh,
go
sorry.
back to that
I'll
picture.
go back. Okay.
So this is, so we were serving up in, I mean, you can see how high we are.
Yeah.
This is, we're at 7 or 8,000 feet. It's chilly, but it is perfect. And we are serving the indigenous people of southern Mexico in this first area is called Mohoseek. And many of these people, many of them speak Spanish, some of them don't, Stu. Some of them speak their ancient Mayan language still that's been
Wow.
passed down through the generations.
Crazy.
And this is looking out across the valley that's Dr. Marcus Stones and his family, that next photo, and just a great patient. If you've never been on a trip with Marcus, I don't know if you ever see him or his wife without that look on their face. It is always, they're always smiling. They're some of the happiest, most wonderful people. So these areas that we went to, we spent 3 days in Mahoseek, and the connection that, oh, look at that little Smiles for Life. Can you see
Oh,
that?
got her.
Yep. Can you see the tattoo on her arm? Oh,
Mhm.
so good. The children, the people they have so little, and they are, that's so good. But they're just so happy, and they're so humble, but they're also timid because they haven't been around dentists before. And man, what an amazing experience to be with a group of people that you go to do, in the Crown Council and as part of Smiles for Life. Part of what we do is trying to do good, and you go there thinking that you're going to do a lot of good, but man, you sure come away with a lot more than you give. There's Marcus again. You'll never see him without a smile. Uh, that's a skinnier version of me. That's my younger brother Dave that went with me, and he's about 50 pounds less than me and much better looking and speaks Spanish as well. There's Marcus again. We had a really fun medical contingent with us as well. That standing with Marcus there um, was Dr. Mark, and he is a anesthesiologist from Idaho Falls that went with us and helped do some medical screenings. And man, it was great.
Joey,
Cri-
how many people did you guys see? Like, if a doc's never been, like, what kind of what's the patient flow like in this place? Was it similar to the Dominican, or maybe not quite as many?
it was similar, and I didn't think it would be as many because it was the first trip there. But we ended up seeing, we were in the first area in Mahosik that we were in for 3 days. We saw over, they had 348 people lined up for us for those 3 days, um, which we got through and then some. So over 100 people a day. This is in the background, you can see that is a school that, if you can see that Coltiel Foundation that's on
Hmm.
Andrews Scrubs right there, Coltiel goes in and helps build schools for these indigenous people and creates these amazing places where they can go and and go to school, and be able to finish high school. And they even are able to connect to an online university, so they get continuing education and can even get college credits and graduate from college from these remote communities. So this
Cool.
is a school that Coltiel built that we were able to be at. And you
Nice.
can see there's actually a light in the background. There was actually electricity there, which was amazing.
Huh.
Um, so the patient flow is, it is, man, it is a mixture between just getting these people out of pain. They want they they want a tooth out. They just want it pulled,
Yeah.
or um, or fixing a cavity. Most of it is um, is removing a tooth. We were able to do some restorative that was pretty amazing. We always have a hygiene team there. We've been able to purchase some mobile ultrasonic scalers that make a huge difference there. So we have a hygiene team. We will do, patients will come and we'll put them in, we'll send them through hygiene first and then into whatever they have, um, whatever kind of work they need done in their mouth. There's Marcus again and his wife with another group of patients. You'll never see those whites not showing. And that little girl, oh, she was in pain and she was crying, and Melanie just grabbed her and hugged her. It was really sweet. Um, we also, that there's that guy. There's Erich again. He's always busy doing
Doing boss
so many
stuff.
things. Yeah, doing boss stuff. Exactly. That, if you don't know Jamie Sled and her sister-in-law, um, Carol, Jamie is a retired Crown Council dentist, but she is one of the most active people in Crown Council and Smiles for Life that you will ever meet. This was her first trip with us. She's been on many trips with,
That's crazy. Is it really?
yeah, she's been on a lot with another group, but this was her first Smiles for Life. And talk about a rock star. Um, just she brought her sister-in-law, and her husband is there somewhere, Tom. And man, what an incredible addition. And that's something too, Stu, that we probably ought to mention. So Jamie came, her husband knows nothing about dentistry, but he's an electrician. And to
Yeah.
have him along on that trip was, oh, he was a lifesaver.
Yeah, a lot of crappy
Uh,
generators, a lot of, a lot
yeah.
of-
To get our portable units working correctly and to get everything set up the way that it needed to be set up, he really was amazing. Great to have him there. And Carol worked as, she was, we called her, what did she give herself the title? The sterilization czar.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. Hmm.
You love it when
If you've,
somebody gets passionate about the sterilization area.
oh my, you couldn't be more grateful if you've been on one of these trips and you've ever worked in sterilization.
Look
you
at
know
Marcus
that.
standing on this mound.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So
If
good.
you don't know Marcus, he
He's
has
what,
the biggest heart and he's the tallest
five
man
foot,
inside, but
5'5", 5'4"?
no, I think he's 4'11".
No way.
What if you scan through these pictures, you see, oh, the food. How
Oh, should we go back?
Oh man, that was some really that guy in the middle there. He is the instructor at this school, and that is a guy that is passionate about education. Oh boy, who is that? How did that even get in there?
Well, it's funny. We should tell the story about the chicken, the turkey, I guess. I don't know I guess it's a chicken, right, Joe? I mean,
Yep, rubber chicken.
I actually don't know how it started, but the idea is that the team leader chooses or awards the chicken to a team member every day for outstanding service, outstanding attitude. Some sort of recognition happens with the chicken. Uh, I don't know if that sends the right message, but it sure is fun to pass this dumb little thing around.
it,
Uh, so
it
were you
is.
gifted this or were you giving this to someone?
Well, both. So I'm not sure. We we would do this each evening. Jared started with it and awarded it to someone the first evening, and then every evening after, whoever had it was their responsibility to look for something special that happened that day, um, or someone who did something. And so I don't know how I ended up with it, but it is it is silly, but it really is awesome. It's really cool to pass that on to someone else and to recognize them for just being so good.
All right, I'm trying to get out of here. I'm stuck.
Oh, don't be stuck.
Stuck in a. Okay, here we go.
Especially don't get stuck on that. That's
Let's see
terrible.
if. Okay, I gotta stop sharing. Let's see if we can be able to
Uh,
get this to go away. Okay,
that's good.
Joe. Talk about for just a minute. Um, the travel logistics, teams that are thinking to themselves, "Holy cow, we can't take this much time off." Can you talk about how we've arranged for travel and timing and what we do when it comes to time away from the office and just kind of how that
Sure.
works? Can you talk about that? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I know that's been a concern in the past. And what we've done is we've really tried to make it so that what you're away from the practice is a week. Um, and typically what we do is we'll ask you to arrange your flight so we all arrive in this case we all arrived in Mexico City around the same time, and then we all took a flight together to another city named Tuxtla. So once we get into the country, um, and it really was pretty clean as far as getting through customs and getting there and getting flights. But we get to the airport and then we kind of put ourselves in the hands of, in this case, Erich and the Coltail people, to get us where we need to go. And they were amazing. So at the airport, we have, in this case, we had 4 15-passenger vans waiting for us, picked us up with all of our gear and took us to, we had to drive it was only about an hour and a half to San Cristobal, which is where our base was. And what we've decided the best thing for us to do to make our dentists the most effective and give them and the people that we're serving the best experience is to make sure that we're in a place that is um, comfortable, that we can get good rest and good food
Hmm.
every evening and be able to be 100% every day instead of being out in the communities and being 100% the first day and 80 and 70, and by
Yeah.
the end you're dragging. So it it really was wonderful. We stayed in a wonderful place in San Cristobal. good food there, great accommodations. And then each day, Stu, we get in these same vans and we drive for, and it depends. When we go to Mexico, and when we go to the DR, you're somewhere between 45 minutes, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to get to where you're going. And you're driving up in these windy mountain roads that are a
Yeah.
lot of
Like, look at
fun.
this. This is crazy. Look how cool this is.
Isn't that
It's
beautiful?
incredible. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, that's in Los Churros. That's the last place we went to.
Amazing.
And yeah, very remote, hard to get to. It was a little sketchy in the vans driving up the dirt road, but not as sketchy as some people thought, but
Hmm.
it was amazing. So logistics, it's pretty simple once you once you get there, and if you're afraid, the first time I went was, I think this is my fifth trip, and I know I was so nervous the first time I went to go and be out of the country, and
Yeah.
but the connection that you make, and we make sure that everyone has a backpack, everyone has a shirt. We're easily recognizable in the airports and when we're traveling, and then we're really well taken care of.
Very cool. We have Jared in the waiting room. I'm going to bring him in. Before we start talking to him about the humanitarian trip, I am going to talk to him about Smiles for Life. So we're doing a I'm just gonna I'm gonna spend just a few minutes talking to him about Smiles for Life first, and then we're gonna I want to dive into the story of how he found this and a little bit about his connection to this new humanitarian expedition. So let's see if the
Awesome.
doctor. Oh, greetings, doctor.
The doctor is
Hey,
in.
good morning. How
How
are
are
you
you?
guys all doing?
We're very good.
Hey,
Joey just gave us like a preliminary preheat to the humanitarian trip that we want to talk to you about. So it was good. It
Yeah,
was very good.
Heather and I were sitting there just listening to it.
Oh,
Uh,
nice. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So
Hey,
well represented, Joey. Good descriptions.
now you can correct everything I said that was wrong. So
The only thing I'll correct is that you deserve the rubber chicken. You totally deserve the rubber chicken.
multiple rubber chick.
very
Um,
Yeah.
nice.
Jared, next week on Thursday, Steve and I are going to be hosting a Smiles for Life webinar. Our goal is to inspire practices to find a way to do good, right? That doing good is an incredible opportunity for your team to come together to build a way to have a story that patients love, to get your name out into the community as a leader, as a servant. It just provides so many things for a dental practice. Um, I wanted to talk to you before we dive into our little humanitarian trip. Can you talk about that idea in your practice? Doing good, creating stories of servant leadership, even humanitarian trips or Smiles for Life. I mean, how is that part of your philosophy of care and your own practice environment? Is this idea that we plan and do good together? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I don't know how deep you want me to talk about it. I mean, it's sort of inherent in our culture in the practice at this point where we have our fingers in so many different community-based projects, and then of course our humanitarian service with the Crown Council, Rivers for Hope. It sort of is just part of our culture. But I think the thing that I could probably speak to the most is how it drives the passion for what we do in our practice. So it seems to me like patient care, the attention to just relationships is on a heightened level because I have a team that goes out and does these things with me. And they are all bought into the fact that it's, to coin an old Roy Hammond adage, it's not about the teeth, it's about people, right? And we've got teeth that we're treating, but they're attached to people. And I think that is what this is all about. It's just about learning how to connect with people and do good with the talents that you've been blessed with and hopefully improve some lives. But most of the time, I think my team operates at their peak ability when they have gone and had these kinds of experiences.
Incredible. We always talk about, this creates stories that spread. My dentist is the dentist that goes to Mexico. My dentist is the one that's doing whitening charity campaigns for the local children's hospital. I know that I don't want to transform this into a thing that's like, hey, this is a great marketing tool, but it really is an
It
incredible
is.
way. It's an incredible way for your team to not only love working with you, but also sharing a story and talking about you as a practice. Like, what a fun thing for a patient to leave and talk about, and share about the special things that their dentist gets to do out in the community. Have you seen that? Like, is that a thing that happens?
Yeah, it is. And we're not shy about it. We want people to know that there is a lot of good going on with the people in our practice. And it's not just me driving it. There are people who come and they are giving of their time. My team members come and spend that whole week in Mexico this week. I had 2 team members there with me, unpaid, but we got them there, of course. It was one of those things where when you come back, they get to share with the patients what they were experiencing. They put pictures of the trip on all of our computer screensavers. There's pictures of our trips and different community service that we're doing all over the office. It creates conversation, and I think patients like to see a practice that is involved with more than just trying to be a business. They're trying to be good members of the community, good members of the world community, and trying to help where there's much given, so to speak, right? There's much that we can share. So,
yeah.
And I think, Stu, you alluded to it a little bit, that it just naturally, it organically turns into a marketing tool. I mean, because people want to share something that's good.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't want to go to a dental practice that does this?
Yeah. My dentist drives a Ferrari. Oh, well, mine goes to humanitarian trips. Just kidding. That was bad. That was a bad example. Jared, let's talk about, so in our world, in Crown Council's world, we have seen over the last 30 years that dental teams that belong to this community, they want to do this stuff. They're actively searching and looking to do good outside of the practice and go out and build their culture and help other people. But the logistics of creating these activities it's tricky. And you have been at the forefront of this new, I would call it new. This is a new opportunity for us. Can you talk about the origin, kind of the story of where it came from and how we got to Mexico?
yeah, this is a great story, actually. And it starts with Heather and I making the decision for our family to relocate. So we ended up in a new neighborhood just a little ways away. And we met this group of individuals who had been working on building schools for the indigenous population of Chiapas, Mexico. The fellow who we met was a new neighbor, and we were invited by another neighbor who's a physician. I think Joey introduced you to him, Mark Murphy. He's an anesthesiologist down the road from me. He said, hey, I think we could go and do this humanitarian project with this group. And I know you've done some of this with your dental group, the Crown Council. Maybe we can go down there and see if there's a medical dental need. And I said, sure, let's go try it out. So we went to the Dominican Republic in March of this year and came home. I worked for a week, and then I went down to Chiapas the next week and spent a week down there with Mark, just screening patients. We were in the Los Churros city, the last city we were in just this past October, and we screened probably 250 patients and thought we could do this. There's a very similar need that we saw in Mexico, from what we had seen in trips to Guatemala as well as trips to the Dominican Republic. So we thought, yep, we've got the know-how on how to do this. Let's put something together. we came back, put the trip together, presented it to Greg, and thought, let's do a limited sort of trip in October and see what we can do. We wanted to invite a number of dentists that were kind of in the local area. And so Joey and I met with a local study club, and we invited them. But the problem was a lot of them logistically, they'd never been on trips before, so they didn't know what to expect. And then on top of that, they ended up with like issues with schedules and just challenges. They just couldn't make it happen. And so Joey and I were kind of trying to figure out, how are we going to get 4 other dentists to get on this thing? And we literally made a list of all of our guys and all the dentists who had been to the Dominican Republic or to Guatemala. And we just started making phone calls. And Joey made probably 5 or 6 phone calls. And before we knew it, we had hands raised. And Jamie Sled kind of came to it interesting. Jamie ended up on a planning meeting that I was holding early on in the planning part of this, where we just had gathered a number of the dentists in the group. And one of our dentists had to back out for a family issue. And Jamie just happened to be on the call because she was on an earlier Zoom meeting call with the Crown Council Network doing her mastermind group. And she thought, I'm just going to stay on this call. And so she stayed on this call, and we talked for about a half an hour. She asked a lot of questions. And at the end of it, she got off the call. I got a text from her about 10 minutes later saying, Tom and myself want to join. How do we make this happen?
Nice.
And so it was it was very fortuitous that we needed another doctor, and she jumped on board. We didn't know how we were going to find that. And she was awesome. It was so great to have Jamie with us. Anybody that knows Jamie knows how dynamic she is. Yeah. She has so many great ideas. And to have Tom there, we wouldn't have drawn nearly enough volts and amps to run any in there. So we learned a lot because of Tom. But it was a great team. And that's kind of how this all started.
Very cool. I know Joey worked through some of the pictures that we had posted to Facebook. I don't know if you want to look through more and give a more detailed description of what had happened. But maybe, Jared, when you talk to, let's say that there's a Crown Council member that calls you up and he says, or she says, I would love to go. I would love to be a part of this. I just don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can leave the practice. I don't know if I can handle a third world country. I mean, what would you say to them? Someone that's asking for your own personal advice?
Well, I think the experience in and of itself, the reason why people are interested in this is because of the nature of the giving and the relationships and the adventure of it all kind of rolled up into one. I mean, you look at this picture right here. This little girl, these are the moments that just melt your heart, and the interaction you have with people. I'll tell you a story in a second that's kind of awkward, but it's kind of a story. But what I would say is the one thing about going into a community like this that you will find most rewarding is not what you will bring and leave, but what you will take away. And the people who fill you up in places that you just cannot be filled in, your heart, your very soul. When you meet these people and you serve them, they jump up because of the love that you've shown them. You cannot put into words what the experience is. You have to go and look into their eyes and have that moment. If you have a concern about safety or comfort, yeah, sometimes it's a bit of a sacrifice to be in
right.
the bus and to bounce around some of these mountain roads. It can be a bit of a challenge for sure. And we try to make things as comfortable as possible and make sure people are well fed, well hydrated. The food is safe. The conditions, super safe. We wouldn't have presented this to the Crown Council if I hadn't gone in March and felt like, with the experiences that I've had in the Dominican Republic and even going to Guatemala, that we would have even thought about presenting this as an opportunity if we didn't think it was safe on multiple levels. The Coltael hosts, especially Andrew and Erich. Erich is born and raised in San Cristobal, which is where we base our operations out of. He knows the area. He knows the people. He knows when we can be in communities. He knows which communities we shouldn't be in. And so we trust him inherently in what we're doing there. This picture, this was the last picture we took as a group. We had just finished our day in Los Churros. It was our 4th day of clinic. And we've got the whole group there, our drivers there on the right. They're just amazing guys and got us around things that sometimes you trust your drivers inherently. You trust your drivers. Yeah, right. So I hope that answers the question, but I'll finish with one story, and this is the awkward story. Joey knows this story. Joey, where's the picture of Benjamin? Do we have? Look at that. That was a great picture there. There's a picture of a fellow who he's kind of got that yogi look.
He's the director of the school. Stu, you were on it earlier.
Yeah, right there.
Okay, yep.
Yep, there he is.
There he is with Loopy Miller and my hygienist, Kate. And his name is Benjamin. He directs the school at Mahosik. He comes up to me day 2. And day 1 was pretty impactful. We didn't know how this was going to go, but this fellow, he had organized the students in a way where they had created a program where every patient would get a piece of paper. That paper at the top had all of the information we needed on their vitals. They went through a medical screening before they went into the dental clinic. After that paper was filled out by the physicians, what Benjamin had organized was then that could come to the dental clinic. The dental clinic would then fill out the information we needed to provide on services needed and rendered. And then he would take them into an intake area where a picture was taken and all of the information was entered in by the Coltael students into a computer database. So we have a extensive database on all of the patients we treated at Mahosik, all because of Benjamin. So day 2, he realizes this is a great thing, and he's feeling the spirit of it. And, we were all just sort of apprehensive about how is this going to go. We knew that the model worked in the Dominican. We were presenting it to this group, just saying, hey, we've got this, we'll make it happen. And it worked great. So he sees me, we're walking past each other as we're just trying to get the clinic going for the day. He comes up to me and he goes, in Spanish, and I speak very broken Spanish, but I get that he wants to give me a hug. But he's instructing me that he's going to give me a hug for about 20 seconds, and he's going to count to 20.
Okay.
So I get this hug, and people are walking past us, bringing supplies here and there, trying to gather and get the clinic set up. And we're sitting there in the middle of the pathway where everybody's trying to get by, hugging. And I'm hearing him count. And it's not 20 seconds. These are very long seconds.
It was long. I remember watching that.
You weren't the only one that doesn't remember watching that. Everybody remembers watching this. Anyway, so I get done, pull back. I'm like, thanks, Benjamin. And he goes, okay, now one more time. I go, what?
He wants another 20 seconds.
So we go another long 20. And this time, when we finished, we both were crying. And I'll never forget that. It was the most awkward thing in my life, but yet one of those things where I went, this guy gets it. He gets what this is all about. And he could be teaching anywhere else in that country. He could be doing anything else with the talents that he has and who he is. You could just tell. But he wanted to be among the indigenous population, making a difference. And those are the kind of people you meet when you go on a trip like this.
I love it. Very cool. I'm going to share this sign up page. So this is our RegFox. This is where you go to sign up for the March 1st through the 9th, as we'll be going again. Some great information here about where we're going to be, what it is, options for payments, and then obviously just submitting to us who is coming and when you're coming. And I think It's not full. Yeah, we still have opportunities to register. 2 more trips to the Dominican next year that are not full. And our Dominican trip is there now, Joey. Aaron is deep
Yeah.
into the Dominican jungles. They did a
Being
2-hour
rained
bus
on every
ride
day.
yesterday. So they're doing well. So we're grateful for all of our humanitarians. What a fun thing to honor, you guys for your service, but specifically Jared for your leadership and vision. Just so many lives that you touch just with your desire to help other people. So we're grateful for you. Grateful for Heather if she's listening. Heather, we're grateful for you. She's right. Oh, I knew it. There she is.
Yep, she's always there.
You guys,
I was going to say that none of this happens without Heather,
I
right?
know.
Right?
100%.
You guys are the best. Thank you. Thank you both. Grateful for you.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. It's been great.
Yeah,
I
Joe.
have to tell you really quick. I got a phone call from Jamie Sled this morning, about an hour before this call. She and Tom were in their motorhome in a gravel parking lot somewhere in Arizona, and calling me to see if the trip was full because she knows another dentist in Minnesota that she wants to experience this. And so, and
Well,
we had a great conversation and relived a bunch of experiences.
yeah, this is wildly popular right now. We've had so many people inquire about it. And so we're really excited about the March trip, and we're hopeful that this will continue to be an opportunity for all of us in the Crown Council to continue to enjoy. And it just one of the things that I probably should share, and Joey's aware of this, but while we were down there was a free day for the group to enjoy San Cristobal and the open markets and the culture and architecture and things there. Joey and myself went down with the leaders of Kol Tayal, Erich and Andrew, and Mark Murphy to meet with the dental school in Tuxtla and the state-sponsored university called UNICACH down there. I've got a follow-up meeting with them today at 1:00, but we are in process of teaming up with them so that our subsequent trips will always have one of their faculty members and 4 dental students with us. We're looking at having them do a very similar model to the state-sponsored trips that Patricia does in the Dominican. And I think that's a key for any kind of humanitarian outreach, that we're not there to make a splash twice a year, but we're there to offer opportunities for the local healthcare providers to help their own country and really help the people that surround them. So we're excited about that, and I'll have more to come on our progress there after today's meeting, but we're very optimistic about that partnership.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thankful that you would remind us of that. That is one of the key principles behind the humanitarian work in the Crown Council. So thank you. Very good. All righty, guys. Thank you both. I've got one more segment we're going to do on the live stream, but grateful you'd be on for a minute.
Thanks, Stuart. Take care.
Hey, guys. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Stu. Thanks.
Thanks. All right, I'm going to share my screen so you can see here. I wanted to just show you through my directory. So in my directory and everybody's directory in the Premium Member Hub, you can go to, this is where the content of a lot of the Crown Council membership sits. So every week we're constantly updating the Premium Member Hub, constantly bringing in new interviews, new skill of the weeks every week. Expert webinar was last week. I wanted to draw your attention here to our Mentor of the Month that we did with Dr. David Rice. Really fun. He's part of our new leadership series where we're interviewing doctors about what students should do as they leave the dental schools, and advice that he would do different had he been given the opportunity to restart his career. So with the last 10 minutes, I really wanted to play this interview with David and talk and just share a bit about his story so you can be inspired to go and listen to it on your own. So I'll play this and we'll turn it off in just a minute as the interview goes for 40 minutes. So I'll play just a little bit. David Rice, and thanks for tuning in. All right, everybody, welcome to the Mentor of the Month podcast. Stuart Henderson here, joined by Dr. David Rice. David, how are you?
I'm great, Stuart. How are you?
I'm very good. It is great to connect with you. I didn't want to share this before we got on. I have a small prop. I want you to know this is wacky. I actually think about you every day. This is a picture that hangs in my father's office of you, Garth Brooks, and Steve Anderson at the Mount Sinai Hospital. 2006 is what the picture says. I assume this is just when the zone at Mount Sinai opened and you guys were there for the opening.
That was it. It was an amazing day for sure.
How
it was
cool
a great
that?
day. Yeah.
Anyway, it's funny. I mean, we haven't connected in a long time, but I wanted you to know that I think that's a picture that hangs in his office. So
you're stuck with me.
I am, which is good, which is a good thing. So, hey, if this is the first time you're tuning in to these our series 2 episodes of our mentor podcast for young doctors, we are working through interviewing and talking to some of the best in the business about what to do and how to transition into a career from dental school. So that's kind of the theme. We're talking to practice owners, people that have built practices from scratch, those that have joined DSOs or practices with their parents, or I don't even know. There's probably hundreds of different scenarios here. So I know David through Ignite DDS. David, I met your program through Darren Liu, who is like one of our biggest cheerleaders at the Young Dentist program. And I know that you guys have had an incredible experience together. You and Darren, he speaks very highly of Ignite DDS and all that you do there. You are spending a lot of time working with young docs, building the nation's largest new dentist and student community, where you travel the world speaking, writing, and connecting today's top young dentists with tomorrow's most successful dental practices. So David is much more than just a general dentist. He has really expanded his career and expanded dentistry to helping young docs and connecting them with mentors and the right paths to take to find success. So really grateful you'd be with us, David. You scolded me for calling you Dr. Rice, so I'll just continue to call you. Okay.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, listen, and I learned all these lessons from your family, for God's sakes. This like life is funny how it works, right? Yeah.
David, could you talk a little bit about just where you work, what you do, and a little history about your how did dentistry present itself to you, and how did you become a dentist?
Sure. So, gosh, I'm an enigma of a dentist for those of you who don't know me. I live in Florida, although I travel back to New York to practice every other month to see patients. And the bulk of my time, as Stuart mentioned, like I'm working with you if you're a young dentist or you're a student. So we host in-person events. We do a lot of virtual stuff. And, our goal really is just help young people build self-determined futures, because there's just so many people chirping in your ear telling you what you cannot accomplish and then how you have to accomplish anything in life. I just feel like my role is to help everybody objectively understand every single pathway there is, and then, provide a playbook for how to get there. And then full circle, like connect them with tremendous people in dentistry. So I met Darren, you brought up Darren earlier, at an ASDA event in Breckenridge, Colorado. And we stayed up literally all night talking. Mm-hmm. And it was, 5 a.m. I'm like, Darren, good Christmas on the East Coast. It's like 8 a.m. here. I'm dying. And I just think dentistry is such an amazing profession that our part of our mission is really just help people live whatever their vision and best life is. That's it. And for me, I didn't necessarily have that before I went to dental school. So it became really important to me. I was one of those kids who I was either going to go to med school or dental school. So I did all these externships, and in reality, like, I think I just kind of landed in dentistry. I did my externships in medicine, a lot of which were pretty serious, like specialty care things. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's not for me. I don't want life and death to be in my hands every day. And that was like my view of what medicine had to be. And in dentistry, I came across some like super dentists early on, including my own. And I thought, whoa, that looks way better to me. I can help people, but I'm not living on the edge every moment. So I stumbled into dental school. I very thankfully fell in love with it pretty early on, and I just keep falling in love with it over and over again every year.
That's awesome. And could you talk about just maybe where you went to dental school and what you did right out of school when you got started?
Sure. So I went to SUNY Buffalo, which, if you've not been to Buffalo, is a special place to hang out for like July through maybe September. And I did a GPR after that in a hospital called Allegheny General in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm a huge fan of postgraduate programs, if as a young doc you can afford it, because I know that student debt thing is a thing, and there are many students coming out with families, so maybe that's a little harder. But that was my path. I did two and a half, I'm going to say, different associateships. The first one, epic fail. So learned all about who I didn't want to be when I grew up.
Okay, we got to hear about this. Let's expand
Yeah,
on that one.
listen, I'll tell you the stories. And
Okay,
then
let's do it.
and then the next one was pretty good, but it was just bad timing. And I think,
Mm.
we can all relate to that, where we meet somebody in our life, maybe in our personal life, who's like just great person, just wasn't the right time for you or maybe for them. And then that half one was the practice I knew I was going to buy walking in as an
Mm.
associate. We just had kind of a 7-month runway between my associateship and my and ownership, and then we just never looked back.
Nice. What maybe some advice from that first practice then? What happened and what mistakes that you made that you're willing to share that others might not make?
How much time do we have?
Let's do it.
I will tell you, that first associateship lasted all of 3 weeks. So biggest mistake,
Hmm.
I didn't vet the practice hard enough. I walked in with the assumption that because this person was a part-time faculty member where I had gone to school, that I had this, like, I was enamored. I'm like, oh my God, they picked me. Yay, look at me. Look at this dental school stuff wasn't as bad as it turned out, as I thought it was going to be. And so I picked up and moved everything back from Pittsburgh back to Buffalo, New York, all because of this practice. And 3 weeks later, when I learned about all like the fraud that was happening in the practice, I knew, man, I didn't want to be a part of that. I knew dentistry was also a small community. And even if I wasn't a part of that, but I was present, I was going to be guilty by association. So I, said, hey, thanks so much for the opportunity, but it's time for me to move on. And so I think biggest mistake is I didn't do enough homework.
Hmm.
I felt like lucky to get this great position, but as a young dentist, you worked really hard to get where you are. You deserve to be where you are. So always remember that, and ask around. Most of us know each other.
Yeah. And then when you left that practice, you moved into another associateship. Did you do it different? Did you do a little more vetting? Did you spend a little more time? I mean, if a doctor now is doing that, can you talk about that process maybe?
Sure.
How it can work best for them? Okay.
Absolutely. So yes, I did more homework. Part of it was, simple things you can do when you walk in and meet somebody. Just walk around the practice, meet everybody on the team. Like you're gonna immediately feel either they're really happy to be here, or boy, this place is a grind.
Mm-hmm.
And they're barely keeping their head above water. Like nobody can fake it for more than 30 seconds. So just have like real conversations with everybody who's there, and, feel the vibe of the practice, walk into where cases maybe come back from a lab, pick up a couple bins, look at preps. Odds are, if their crown preps are pretty good and maybe veneer preps are pretty good, or implant cases look pretty good, they probably do everything at a decent level, right? If they take pride in it. So just maybe be a quiet observer. And then, of course, in today's world, which in my Stonehenge days, I didn't have this advantage, but we can Google everybody, for goodness sake. So it's really easy for us to figure out who people are, who they're connected to, learn what kind of practice style they have. And if it matches yours, they're a candidate. And if it doesn't match theirs, even if you really think you need to take this job, it's probably not worth jumping into, because you're just going to be disappointed.
I love that. I actually was watching, don't judge me for this. I was watching John Wick 4 all your listeners out there. And there was a silly phrase in there where one of the characters says, how you do anything is how you do everything. And I thought, wow, some philosophy here from an action movie. And I think that fits in like, my grandma used to always talk about that, like, hey, look at his shoes if they're shined, or that's a huge tell. Like, I love that you can't fake it for more than 30 seconds. That is a real thing. I mean, just time together will kind of reveal how it all works out. So
I think so too. And I also think, people who can walk the talk, they have a different kind of quiet confidence to them. They don't need to tell you how successful they are. They don't need all the glitz and the glam. It's not that they may not have a beautiful practice and take pride in that. I'm very thankful for our practice, and it is, amazing when you walk in the door, but you would immediately get the sense walking in our practice, like that's not what it's about. It's about a group of people who feel like, more important than the dentistry, which is very important to us, but more important to that is we want to accomplish something together and look back 20, 30 years in the future and say, wow, look at how well we did for so many people in our community.
love that. All right, you can watch the rest of that on crowncouncil.com on the Premium Hub. Grateful for David, thankful for his service to Crown Council, as well as the Ignite DDS program. Dr. Rice that interview is awesome. It gets better as he keeps going with advice for young docs. So thanks to everybody that joined today. It went quick. All the best to our humanitarians who are in the Dominican traveling home over the weekend. We'll talk to them next week about their trip and the things that happened. But big thanks to Jared, big thanks to Joey, and thankful to all those that joined us today. We'll see you next week. Thanks.